In a quiet village nestled between rolling hills, there lived an old woman named Eleanor. She was a kind and wise soul, known throughout the village for her stories of times long past and her nurturing heart. Eleanor had two daughters, Amelia and Beatrice, who were both married and lived in distant towns with their own families. Despite the geographical distance, the bond between the three women remained strong. They exchanged letters and visited each other whenever they could, cherishing the time they spent together. However, as the years went by, the visits became less frequent, and Eleanor found herself spending more time alone in the house that held a lifetime of memories. Unbeknownst to Eleanor, Amelia and Beatrice had been discussing a plan. They worried about their mother's well-being, fearing that her solitary life might lead to loneliness and isolation. They shared their concerns during one of their rare visits, and the seed of an idea was planted. Amelia and Beatrice knew that Eleanor cherished her home dearly, a place filled with warmth, comfort, and nostalgia. They also understood that if they proposed sending her to an old-age home, she would resist vehemently. So, they hatched a different plan. They decided to tell their mother that they were considering selling their own homes and moving in with her. One summer day, Eleanor welcomed her daughters with open arms. Amelia and Beatrice knew that Eleanor cherished her home dearly, a place filled with warmth. They chatted, shared stories, and laughed, the house echoing with the familiar sounds of family togetherness. As the sun began to set, the three women gathered around the fireplace, sipping tea. With a deep breath, Amelia spoke softly, "Mother, there's something we want to talk to you about." Eleanor looked at her daughters, a mixture of curiosity and concern in her eyes. "Of course, my dears. You can tell me anything." Beatrice joined in, her gaze fixed on the flames dancing in the hearth. "We've been thinking, Mother. With the children all grown up and our husbands away for work so often, we've been feeling a bit lonely." Eleanor smiled gently. "Perhaps it's time to explore options that would allow me to be surrounded by company and care." Tears welled up in Amelia and Beatrice's eyes. They hadn't expected their mother to be so understanding, so willing to consider the idea they had been afraid to suggest. Eleanor smiled gently. "Perhaps it's time to explore options that would allow me to be surrounded by company and care." Amelia nodded, taking her mother's hand gently. "And we thought, what if we sell our homes and come live with you? We could keep you company, and you wouldn't have to be alone anymore." Eleanor's heart swelled with emotion. She looked at her daughters, touched by their gesture. "Oh, my sweet girls, your thoughtfulness warms my heart. But I would never want you to give up your homes for me. This house is filled with memories, and it's where I belong." Amelia and Beatrice exchanged a quick glance, realizing that their plan had backfired. They hadn't anticipated their mother's deep attachment to her home. Eleanor continued, her voice soft but resolute. "However, I do understand your concern. And I have been thinking about the future. Maybe it's time for a change." Amelia and Beatrice exchanged surprised glances, their hearts pounding with a mixture of relief and surprise. Eleanor continued, her voice soft but resolute. "However, I do understand your concern. And I have been." Heart heavy with mixed emotions, Eleanor watched as her beloved house changed hands. The transaction happened swiftly, as if fate itself was urging her towards the new chapter she had agreed to embark upon. She had willingly given up the place that held her memories, enchanted by the prospect of being close to her daughters once more. The day of departure arrived, marked by a bittersweet farewell to the village she had called home for so long. Eleanor's heart brimmed with hope and a sense of belonging as she journeyed to the urban area where her daughters resided. The bustling streets and towering buildings were a stark contrast to the tranquility of her village, but the thought of being with her daughters made her embrace the change. The bustling street. Amelia and Beatrice welcomed Eleanor with open arms, showering her with hugs and smiles. Eleanor's heart swelled with love as she stepped into her daughters' homes, imagining a life filled with shared stories, laughter, and the warmth of family. As the evening sun cast a warm glow across the city, the truth began to unravel. Eleanor noticed the hushed conversations and exchanged glances between her daughters and their husbands. A feeling of unease crept into her heart, and she gathered the courage to confront them. "Darlings," she began gently, her voice tinged with concern, "what is it that you're not telling me?" Amelia and Beatrice exchanged nervous looks before Amelia finally spoke, her voice quivering slightly. "Mother, the truth is, we couldn't convince our husbands to have you stay with us. They were worried about the disruptions it might cause in our homes." Eleanor's heart sank, and a storm of emotions raged within her. She struggled to comprehend the truth that her daughters had painted a different picture to ensure her compliance, only to send her to an old-age home. The betrayal cut deep, like a dagger through her trust. Tears welled in Eleanor's eyes as she struggled to find her voice. You said I would be staying with you. You told me we would live together." Amelia looked down, guilt etched on her face. "We're so sorry, Mother. We thought it would be easier for you to adjust to a new environment if we presented it this way." Eleanor's disappointment and heartache were palpable. The dream of being with her daughters in a home filled with love and companionship shattered around her. She felt adrift, cast aside, and deceived by the very people she had trusted the most. In the days that followed, Eleanor found herself in an unfamiliar place, the old-age home she had never wanted. The walls were foreign, the faces unknown, and the loneliness palpable. She yearned for the warmth of her home, the stories of her village, and the genuine love she had believed her daughters still held for her. Unknown, and the loneliness palpable. She yearned for the warmth of her home.